have like custom code that you have to add to your course after you publish? Or maybe it's an asset that doesn't quite fit within the Adobe Captivate framework and you've got to add it after you publish. And what a pain is that? Like after every time you make a change to your course and you hit publish, you've got to go back and manually edit HTML and maybe add some JavaScript and things like that. What if I told you there's a better way to do that? This is Jim here, and I'm from Golden Palm Technologies, and I want to share with you something revolutionary that you might not have considered when developing JavaScript with Adobe Captivate 13. If you look at the installation folder within Adobe Captivate, I'm on a Windows machine here, Windows 11. It's in the HTML folder of the Adobe Captivate install. There's two templates I want to bring to your attention. There's the AICC template and the SCORM template. These templates are used by Adobe Captivate to create the final product, the published output. And within these templates, there's what I would call a token. And these tokens are swapped out at publish time for actual code. Why do we have templates? Well, the templates exist for the simple fact that as companies, developers, Adobe realizes that we need to customize things to fit our environment. So that's why these templates are here. And I want to propose something pretty off the charts here. And I want to say that these tokens are really cool. They can actually inject CSS, HTML, JavaScript, and different things into the HTML template once you publish. So today's focus is going to be on the movie title token. This token is not actually used by Adobe Captivate, and I'll show you and prove that to you. And then what we're going to do is reuse this token to our advantage. So let me prove to you first that this is actually not used. So this movie title token should get swapped out with my text that corresponds to my project. If I open Adobe Captivate 13, I go to project information. In the project name, I've got some text here. It's called My Awesome Course. The project name corresponds to the movie title token. So at publish time, this My Awesome Course here should end up between the two title tags within the HTML. And if you know what title tags do in HTML, it changes the title bar in the browser to show this text. So let's take a look. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. I'm going to go ahead and hit publish. And let's take a look at the published output folder. So this is JSCP right here. This is the published output. Here's the index file that was generated by that template. I'm going to go ahead and open it in Notepad++, and it's been modified. So here it is, right? And it did exactly what we thought it would do, right? It replaced the token with My Awesome Course. Great. Let's see what this does at runtime. So let's go and load up the browser. I've got Chrome here, and I'm going to do a hold down the control key and hit refresh. This reloads, gets a fresh copy from the server. It's a hard refresh. And I'm expecting to see My Awesome Course in the title here, right? It's not there. Don't see it. Keep your eyes on this title bar right here. I'm going to hit refresh again, and it appears for just a brief second, and then it's gone. So what's the deal? Why is that being overwritten? It's being overwritten by the main chunk JS file. And at runtime, the title gets replaced with the actual project name. So, and this is happening for all published output. What that tells me is that that particular tag or token, the movie title token, is really truly not being used by Adobe Captivate. So let's go ahead and repurpose it. To do that, I'm going to just move this token up one line and hit Control S for save. And instead of my awesome course, I'm going to actually inject a little bit of JavaScript. So let's go back to the project. And I've got this JavaScript already written out, so you don't have to watch me type. And don't worry, I'll explain it. So what I have here is I wrote a script tag and an ending script tag. So when this gets injected into the HTML, it's going to tell the HTML to run this as JavaScript. And what we're doing is we're just simply putting a message out to the developer console, and that message is hello from index.html. So essentially what we're doing is JavaScript injection. We're going to hit OK. We're going to go ahead and publish. And once we publish, we're going to take a look at the output. We'll just open this up again in Notepad++, which is a great tool, by the way. If you don't know it, I would highly recommend it. And take a look what happened. We have nothing in the title tag anymore. That's what we expected because we moved the token up one line. And the token did get replaced. Look at that. We now have some JavaScript code that should display a message in the console. Well, let's take a look in the browser. I'm going to go ahead and do a hard refresh again. And I have the console open. To get that console open, in Chrome, you hit Control-Shift-J, as in Jim, and the console will open. Hit Control-Shift-J again to close the console. So it says hello from index.html. The great thing is that this ran before the course even opened. So that allows us to leverage some pretty interesting things when it comes to the JavaScript object model. All right, so that's awesome, right? We just literally hijacked Captivate's ability to just inject a little bit of JavaScript. What if we could load not just a little bit of JavaScript, but actually a JavaScript file? Yeah, that opens up a whole new world, right? So part of the complaint that I've heard from different companies and some developers is that, every time I publish, I've got to copy my own custom JavaScript and everything else, whatever the images or whatever it is, I've got to copy them manually to the publishing location. And that's a pain. And that's disruptive to your publishing flow. So that doesn't have to be the case. There's actually an undocumented feature within Adobe Captivate that's been there for, oh my goodness, probably since Captivate like 4, maybe even 3. And that is, if we go back to our install directory, and we're in the HTML folder, right? This is where our templates are. You'll see another folder called Assets. So the undocumented feature is that if you have anything in here in this folder, you can make your own entire folder structure with tons of files in here. All of that is going to get copied at publish time. So it really does save you time. Why they don't document this, I don't know. No idea. But it became kind of a a nice feature to have, and the companies that knew about it, it really helped them with streamlining their development flow. So what I've done is I've created this CJS folder, and with this folder, I want to include a JavaScript file. So what I'm going to do is, let's see, I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to save it, save as that location, and I'm going to call it utils.js. And there it is. It just appeared. Okay. So here it is in Notepad++. And of course, I've got some code that I'm going to put in my utils.js file. And I'm not going to go into the details about modules, JavaScript modules, and all this JavaScript stuff. If you're a JavaScript developer, this is pretty self-explanatory. I'll try to explain it as best I can. And even if you take this code and drop it into AI, AI will gladly explain it to you. But essentially, in this file, I'm exporting one function, and that is the run function. The function takes a parameter, and I'm doing a simple console.info to say, hey, utils.js, which is our external file, is fully loaded, and it says, what? What does it say? Stay tuned. All right. So there it is. And that is our external JavaScript file we'd like to import. Okay. Again, that's in I made the CJS folder up. That's just something arbitrary I made. You could name it whatever you want, except don't name it JS. Don't, because actually Adobe Captivate creates its own JS folder here. So whatever you do, don't name it JS. So I name it CJS to stand for Custom JavaScript. Okay. All right. Enough of that. So what code are we going to put into Adobe Captivate to load this file, this external file? If we go to our reporting project information, we've got this script here. And we just want to replace this with a script that loads this utils.js file that we just made. So let's go. Let's do it. Again, I've got some custom code I've already typed here. I'm not going to let you watch me type. I'm going to paste it in. And let me give you a brief explanation. I know it looks convoluted, but if you work with JavaScript, it's not so foreign. So what we're doing here is we're basically running an anonymous function, and we're loading the file async. And what that means is that we're allowing the UI to load and run and other things to happen while we're waiting for this background task to complete. It doesn't block the UI. It doesn't freeze the browser. It just works behind the scenes, and that's how we want to load this. So we run it async, and we define a function. Within the function, we define a constant, and the constant is t. And the t is really the result of the import of this particular module. So we're awaiting the import of this external file. Notice the location here. It corresponds to the assets folder. It's a relative path, so it can travel nicely. And it's CJS, which is our custom JavaScript folder. And it's our utils file, And it also completes at this point with this semicolon. So this second line of code here, it says, well, if T actually ran successfully, if it has something, right, if it's there, then run T dot run. Well, what is dot run? Well, run is the function that we define in our external utils file. And we're passing in a parameter. The parameter is just a string that says hi. So if this loads correctly, we should get a message in the console that says utils.js is fully loaded and says hi. And these two parentheses at the end actually run the function. The definition of the function is here, and then we actually run it. It's an anonymous function. So what that means is that nobody can really see your code, which is pretty cool, right? It's protected. All right, so that's it in a nutshell. We're going to go ahead and click OK. We're going to publish this, and we're going to verify that the course title tag did actually get replaced. Let's see here. We'll go to Assets. Notice our CJS folder is there. And also notice our utils file is there. How awesome is that? All right. We do want to check our index HTML just to prove that that tag did get replaced with our custom JavaScript. And here it is. We can see it right here. It's loading this relative path. And when we run this, we should get a message in the console, right? So let's go ahead and run it. We'll come in here. We'll hit refresh. Look at that. It says JS utils is fully loaded and says hi. So we got a successful loading of an external JavaScript file. And we have a seamless development environment, right? We can publish this over and over and over again. We don't have to make any manual edits. The only manual edit we did was move our movie title tag here. We just moved it up one line. The token's been moved. So we're good. We could also do the same thing with our AICC. The funny thing here is that they're using a different token. Instead of movie title, they're using course title. But you can literally put the movie title up here. So I can make this quick change to the AICC template and change my publishing to AICC, and it'll do the exact same thing. So that's it in a nutshell. What happens from here is up to you, right? You've got this function that's going to run, and from here on out, you can literally write, your custom code. That can include more functions. It could include more constants. It could include more modules. It could include, like, the world's the limit at this point. You could do anything. So if you're into custom JavaScript development, if you've been trying to figure out a way to create a seamless development environment experience, this is it. This is it for now. I'm hoping down the road that we won't have to resort to making modifications to our templates. But even so, that was a very, very, very minor modification to the template, right? And we're using a token here that's been overwritten anyway, and we've just repurposed it for our own purposes. And it works. It works beautifully. And I'm hoping this helps you guys and gets you off and running to your own custom JavaScript development. Thanks for watching, and look forward to hearing your comments, your posts, and your feedback. Golden Palm Technologies, thanks for listening.